This is Audible.
Worldbound. Written by Tevin Walton, narrated by Kevin Howard. Chapter 1. A World of Ash. The orphanage is a place where warmth didn't exist. Its stone walls were cold, its hallways barren of light, and the laughter of children was a distant memory. For Liam, the days were indistinguishable from one another. Endless hours of silence broken only by the occasional harsh word from the caretakers. The older kids had their groups, laughing and sharing moments that Liam could only dream of. He was alone, always alone. He sat in the corner of the dining hall watching the others eat. They had their own cliques and no one looked his way. The food in front of him was cold and tasteless, but he didn't care. He was used to it by now. It wasn't just the food that left a bitter taste in his mouth. It was the life he had been given, one of loneliness, neglect, and rejection. A group of older boys snickered as they tossed scraps of food at him from across the room. One of them shouted, "Hey, orphan, you gonna eat that or just stare at it all day?" Liam didn't respond. He never did. He knew it was pointless. He was used to being ignored, being the target for their cruelty. In the orphanage, there were no friends, no allies, only isolation. The adults hardly noticed the bullying. They were too busy with their own problems, too tired or too indifferent to care about one more lonely, bullied child. It didn't matter anyway. Liam had stopped trying to get their attention years ago. No one was ever there to protect him. After the meal ended, he left the hall, his head down, his heart heavier than ever. The orphanage grounds stretched out before him, barren and lifeless. The few trees seemed to wither under the weight of the place, their branches twisted and gnarled. Liam's footsteps echoed in the silence as he walked to the edge of the property, towards the alleyway that had become his secret refuge. There, hidden behind a rusted dumpster, he found his only solace. A small, scruffy dog with a matted coat and wary eyes sat huddled against the wall. The dog's ribs were visible beneath its thin fur, and its tail wagged weakly as Liam crouched down in front of it. It wasn't much, but it was all Liam had. "Hey there," Liam whispered softly, extending his hand. The dog eyed him for a moment before cautiously sniffing his fingers. The boy smiled for the first time that day. Liam had found the dog a few weeks ago, a stray that had wandered near the orphanage grounds. He hadn't told anyone about it. He wasn't sure they'd care if he did. So he snuck out every chance he got, bringing scraps of food and water, speaking to the dog in a language only they understood. In that small, quiet moment, Liam felt something he hadn't in years. He felt not alone. He called him Scraps, and every day he waited for him, wagging his tail when he saw him, nuzzling his hand when he sat beside him. There was no cruelty here, no bullying, no neglect. Just a quiet companionship that had grown over time. The more time Liam spent with Scraps, the more the boy found solace in the dog's presence. Each day, after the other kids had taunted him or ignored him, he'd slip away from the orphanage and into the alley. With Scraps, there was no judgment. No one called him a freak or an outcast. For the first time, he felt seen, not as a burden, not as someone to be cast aside, but as a person. Scraps was his only friend, his only companion in a world that had abandoned him. It was hard to remember what it was like before he'd found the dog. He couldn't imagine facing the cruelty of his days without Scraps waiting for him at the end of each day. "You're lucky, you know," Liam murmured one evening, running his fingers through the dog's dirty fur. "You don't have to live with people who hate you. You just get to be free." Scraps nudged his hand with a cold, wet nose, and Liam chuckled softly. "Yeah, I wish I could be like you. Free." He knew he didn't belong in the orphanage. No one had ever cared about him there. Not the other kids, not the adults. He was just another nameless face in the crowd. They didn't care if he got hurt, if he felt pain, or if he was starving inside. It was easier for them to ignore him than to understand what he was going through. Some nights, when the darkness pressed against the windows of his cold, lonely room, he wondered if anyone would ever miss him if he were gone. His name had been forgotten by most, a mere label given to him at birth, attached to a boy who had no real family, no home. The only time anyone paid attention to him was when he was the target of someone's joke or someone's fists. With Scraps, Liam felt seen. For the first time in his life, someone noticed him. Maybe that's why he was drawn to the dog. Maybe that's why he kept coming back to the alley day after day, even when the other kids called him pathetic for caring about a stray. At least Scraps had never laughed at him. Scraps had never pushed him away. And, in a way, Scraps needed him just as much as he needed the dog. For a while, Liam had hoped that maybe one day someone from the outside world would come to take him away. Maybe they'd see how hard he tried to survive, how much he wanted to escape this place. But deep down, he knew that wouldn't happen. The orphanage was a cage, and no one ever looked inside to see the people trapped within it. A few months passed, and the days started blending. Liam found himself caring less about what happened around him. His thoughts always returned to the dog. It was all he had. Then came the day that changed everything. It started like any other day. The meal was tasteless, the laughter of the other children drowned out by their words of mockery. Liam pushed his food around on the plate, too tired to care. He was used to it. Another day of nothing. That was until he heard the bark, the frantic, desperate sound of Scraps. Without thinking, he stood up, pushing his chair back with a loud scrape that made the room fall silent. He rushed to the door, his heart pounding in his chest. Something was wrong. He found Scraps standing at the edge of the street, barking at something in the distance. Without a second thought, Liam ran toward the dog, his heart pounding. "Scraps!" he shouted. "Come back here!" But it was too late. The dog darted into the road, chasing after a ball that had rolled into the path of a speeding car. "No!" Liam shouted, panic rising in his chest. Without thinking, he ran after the dog, pushing himself harder than he ever had before. But it was too late. The car was too close. "Scraps, no!" Liam cried, diving into the path of the vehicle. Everything happened in a blur. The car slammed into him with a force that knocked the breath from his body. Pain exploded across his chest as the world tilted and spun. His vision blurred. But through it all, he saw Scraps, a blur of fur and fear, standing safely on the curb, his eyes widened and innocent. The world was fading, the noise of the car's screeching tires replaced by a strange silence. Liam's body felt heavy, his breath shallow. He managed a weak smile, knowing that the dog was safe, that his sacrifice had meant something. For once, he hadn't been alone. Maybe that was enough. His eyes fluttered closed, and the world slipped away. Chapter 2. The Goddess Ava. Darkness surrounded Liam, a vast, endless void that seemed to stretch forever. He wasn't sure how long he had been floating there. Seconds, minutes, maybe years. Time felt meaningless. Is this what it's like to die? He thought. A cold nothingness with no beginning and no end? Even as he drifted in silence, memories began to surface. Scraps barking frantically, the blaring of the car horn, the terrible screech of tires, the pain that had exploded in his chest. And then, peace. He felt no pain now, yet his chest ached, not from injury, but from regret. "Scraps," he whispered into the void, "I hope you're okay." A soft warmth touched him, pulling him from his thoughts. It was faint at first, like the rising of the sun, but it grew stronger, wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. For the first time, the darkness seemed to lift.
Liam.
The voice was gentle yet soothing, and filled with an otherworldly beauty. He turned toward the sound, though he had no sense of a body, and saw a light in the distance. It grew brighter, and from within it a figure emerged. She was breathtaking. Her gown shimmered with the light of 1,000 stars, flowing as though moved by an invisible breeze. Her golden hair cascaded down her back, glowing faintly in the golden light that surrounded her. But it was her eyes that caught Liam's attention, clear and kind, like the sky after a storm.
I am Ava,
she said, her voice melodic.
goddess of compassion and redemption. I have been waiting for you, Liam.
Me? Liam blinked, unsure if he had heard her correctly. Why? I'm nobody. I don't understand. Ava stepped closer, her radiant form casting away the last remnants of the darkness around him.
You are far from nobody,
she said gently.
You are a soul who has endured great pain, yet carried kindness in your heart. Even in the face of despair, you showed selflessness. That is why you are here.
Her words stirred something deep within him. He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. How could someone so powerful, so divine, care about someone like him?
I've been watching you, Liam,
Ava continued, her tone softening.
I saw your struggles in the orphanage, your loneliness, and your longing for something more. And I saw the moment you sacrificed yourself to save the life of your only friend.
At the mention of Scraps, Liam felt a lump rise in his throat.
Is he okay?
He asked hesitantly. Ava smiled warmly.
He is safe and alive thanks to you. Your actions gave him a second chance at life.
A wave of relief washed over him, but it was quickly replaced by a heavy emptiness. That's good, he said softly. At least I was able to do something right. But I don't understand. What is happening to me now? Am I dead? Ava nodded solemnly.
Yes, Liam, your mortal life has ended, but your story does not stop here.
What do you mean? Asked Liam.
I mean that I wish to give you a second chance,
Ava said, her voice filled with a quiet determination.
You deserve more than the life you were given. I want to send you to a new world, a world where you can start fresh, create your own destiny, and discover the strength within yourself.
Liam stared at her, disbelief and confusion warring in his mind. A new world? Like some kind of fantasy world?
Yes,
Ava replied with a faint smile.
A world of magic and wonder, but also of danger and challenge. It will not be easy, but I believe you have the potential to thrive there.
But why? Liam asked, his voice trembling. Why would you do this for me? I'm just me. I didn't do anything special. Ava knelt before him, her eyes filled with kindness.
You are wrong, Liam. What you did was extraordinary. Despite everything the world put you through, you never lost your ability to care. You sacrificed your life for another without hesitation. That is what makes you special.
Liam felt his chest tighten as her words sank in. For so long he had believed he was worthless, just another forgotten soul in a world that didn't care. But now someone, a goddess, was telling him he mattered.
I want to give you something to help you on this new journey,
Ava said, rising to her full height. She extended her hand, and a glowing sphere of light appeared between them.
First, I grant you the gift of extraordinary luck. The threads of fate will bend slightly in your favor, turning even the worst situations into opportunities.
The light drifted toward Liam and sank into his chest. He gasped as a warm, tingling sensation spread through him, as though the universe itself had smiled upon him.
Second,
Ava continued, summoning another sphere of light,
I grant you basic survival instincts. This will give you the skills and intuition to navigate the challenges of your new world, how to hunt, forage, and defend yourself. These instincts will serve as the foundation for your growth.
As the second light merged with him, Liam felt a strange clarity settle over him, as if a new part of his mind had awakened.
These blessings will aid you,
Ava said,
but they will not guarantee your success. The rest will depend upon your choices, your determination, and your courage.
Liam took a deep breath, his fear giving way to a flicker of hope.
I'll try,
he said quietly.
I don't know if I'll succeed, but I'll try.
Ava smiled, her expression filled with pride.
That is all I ask.
She stepped back, the golden glow around her intensifying.
Your new life begins now, Liam. You will awaken in the ancient forest of monsters, a place of danger, but also of opportunity. Trust in your instincts and remember, this is your story to write.
As the light around him grew blinding, Ava's voice echoed one final time.
Good luck, Liam, and may your second chance lead you to a life worth living.
The light consumed him entirely, and when the sensation of weight returned, he found himself lying on the damp forest floor, the sounds of distant growls echoing through the air. Chapter 3. The New World. A cool breeze brushed against Liam's face as he groaned, blinking his eyes open. The light filtering through the canopy of leaves above him was faint, but enough to reveal towering trees with bark as dark as midnight. The air was damp, carrying the earthy scent of moss and decayed leaves. He pushed himself into a sitting position, his limbs heavy and unsteady. His surroundings were unfamiliar, nothing like the orphanage or the streets he'd known. He wasn't sure how he'd gotten there.
Where am I?
He muttered to himself, his voice hoarse. Before he could process his thoughts, a chime echoed in his mind, clear and melodic. System activation complete. Welcome, user Liam. Liam froze.
What? Who said that?
He looked around, half expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. Do not be alarmed. I am the Soulbound System, an entity bound to your soul to assist you in navigating this world.
What do you mean, bound to my soul?
Liam asked, his voice shaking. This world operates on a system of progression and growth. As the user, you will gain levels, acquire skills, and improve your abilities to survive and thrive. I am here to guide you in this process. Liam's heart raced.
So, you're like some kind of voice in my head?
Correct. I exist to support your journey and ensure you adapt to the rules of this world. He took a deep breath, trying to make sense of it all. A part of him wanted to dismiss this as a dream or hallucination, but everything felt too real. The damp ground beneath him, the faint growls echoing in the distance, and now this strange voice.
What kind of place is this?
You are in the ancient forest of monsters, a level 1 survival zone. The forest is inhabited by creatures of varying threat levels. Immediate action is required to ensure survival. Liam's stomach dropped.
Monsters? What do you mean survival zone? Are you saying I could die here?
Correct. Survival is not guaranteed. Early actions are critical to long-term success. The calm, almost indifferent tone of the voice sent a chill down his spine.
But I don't even know how to fight. How am I supposed to survive?
As the Soulbound System, I will provide initial assistance. To begin, you are granted your first skill, Appraisal. A faint warmth spread through Liam's chest, followed by another chime. Skill acquired, Appraisal.
What does that do?
Liam asked hesitantly. Appraisal allows you to analyze objects, creatures, and elements of this world to gather critical information. It is recommended you use it frequently to familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Liam glanced around, his eyes landing on a strange mushroom growing at the base of a nearby tree. Its cap glowed faintly,
casting an eerie green light. All right, let's give this a shot. Appraise. A translucent screen appeared in front of him, floating mid-air like a hologram. Glowing nightshade mushroom. Type. Flora. Effect. Emits faint light. Poisonous if ingested. Can be used in basic antidote recipes. Liam's eyes widened. Whoa, this is like something out of a video game. Appraisal is a foundational skill that will assist you in gathering knowledge. Use it on allies, enemies, and items to assess their capabilities and properties. Enemies? Liam asked nervously. Correct. Hostile creatures are present in this zone. Early encounter probability, 85%. His pulse quickened. 85%? That's not exactly comforting. Luck and survival instincts are key to overcoming challenges. You are equipped with both. Liam blinked. Wait, survival instincts? I don't remember. Blessing granted by Ava, goddess of compassion and redemption, survival instincts and luck. These abilities increase your chances of navigating danger and finding opportunities in high-risk situations. The memory of Ava's radiant figure flashed in his mind, and Liam felt a twinge of reassurance. So, I'm not totally defenseless. Correct. Use your instincts and acquired skills to adapt and survive. Additionally, combat experience will lead to level progression and skill acquisition. Liam nodded, clenching his fists. All right, I don't know how much I trust this system yet, but if this is my reality now, I'll figure it out. As Liam stood, a wet sloshing sound echoed through the underbrush, sending a chill up his spine. The sound was rhythmic, like something squelching and sliding across the damp forest floor. He turned toward the noise, his breath catching as a gelatinous, quivering mass emerged from the shadows. The creature was translucent, its wobbly body catching faint reflections of the dim light filtering through the trees. What is that? Liam whispered, his voice trembling. Enemy detected. Low-tier slime. The slime oozed closer, its gelatinous body rippled with every movement. Liam froze, his mind racing. The translucent creature didn't look particularly threatening, but something about its unnatural wobble made his stomach churn. Lesser forest slime detected. Lesser forest slime, level 1. Threat level, low. Abilities, acidic body, minor damage upon contact. A slime? Liam muttered, his voice laced with disbelief. This is the kind of thing people joke about in fantasy games. Do not underestimate the enemy. Even low-tier creatures can pose a threat to unarmed combatants. The system's calm voice broke through his panic, grounding him. The slime quivered, then launched itself forward with surprising speed. Liam stumbled back, barely dodging as the gelatinous mass splattered against the ground where he'd just been standing. What the? He yelped, his heart pounding. The creature reformed instantly, turning toward him. Recommendation: use surrounding objects as improvised weapons. Target weak points for maximum efficiency. Liam's eyes darted around, desperate for anything he could use. His gaze landed on a sturdy branch lying nearby, half buried in the dirt. He scrambled for it, grabbing the rough wood and gripping it tightly. This better work, he muttered under his breath. The slime quivered again, its body pulsating unnaturally before it lunged at him. Liam swung the branch with all his might, the impact sending the creature bouncing backward. The stick connected with a wet splat, but the slime quickly reformed, rippling as it advanced again. Enemy health, 70% remaining. Liam's knuckles whitened as he tightened his grip around the branch. This thing is tougher than it looks, he muttered. Sweat dripped down his brow as he shifted his weight, trying to anticipate the slime's next move. Tip: target the core for greater damage. The core? Liam squinted, focusing on the slime's translucent body. Sure enough, faintly visible within the wobbly mass was a small, glowing orb. Its core. All right, he whispered, his heart pounding. Let's try this again. The slime lunged once more, and this time Liam sidestepped, bringing the branch down in a precise arc aimed at the core.
The impact sent the creature splattering across the forest floor. The puddle of goo shuddered, ripples spreading outward as it struggled to reform. Enemy health, 40% remaining. Keep targeting the core. Liam didn't hesitate. He darted forward, swinging the branch again and again, each strike aimed at the glowing orb within the slime's body. With each hit, the creature's movements grew weaker, its quivers less pronounced. Finally, with one last desperate lunge, Liam brought the branch down with all his strength. The slime exploded in a spray of gelatinous goo, splattering across the forest floor. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 50 XP. Liam collapsed to his knees, panting as adrenaline coursed through his veins. His hands trembled as he dropped the branch, its surface slick with slime residue. I actually did it, he whispered, a shaky laugh escaping his lips. Congratulations. Loot processing. He frowned, looking down at the puddle of goo left behind. Loot? What kind of loot could a slime even have? The remains of the slime began to glow faintly, a golden light radiating from its center. Liam blinked, shielding his eyes as the light grew brighter, casting eerie shadows across the trees. What's happening now? He muttered, inching back. The glow intensified before fading, leaving behind a single object resting in the slime's remains. Liam's breath caught as he stared. It was a sword, a gleaming blade with a hilt inlaid with intricate runes that pulsed faintly with energy. The weapon seemed to hum, as though resonating with the very air around it. Due to luck skill activation, you have obtained Legendary Sword Solus. Solus, Legendary Sword. Type, Weapon. Effect, Strength grows in proportion to the wielder's level. Special ability, Adaptive Edge. The sword evolves based on the user's strength and achievements. A sword? Liam's voice was barely a whisper. How does a slime drop a sword? Probability of obtaining a legendary item from a lesser forest slime, 0.01%. Luck skill activation caused the deviation. Liam stared at the weapon, his mind racing. Slowly, he reached out and wrapped his fingers around the hilt. The moment his hand made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, warm and powerful. This is incredible, he murmured. The blade felt impossibly light in his hand, yet he could sense the strength it held. Recommendation: equip Solus immediately. Increased survival chances predicted. He stood, holding the sword aloft. Its surface shimmered faintly in the dim light, and for the first time since waking in this world, Liam felt a glimmer of hope. All right, he said, his voice steadying. If this world wants to throw monsters at me, I'll be ready for them. The rustling of the leaves in the distance snapped him back to reality. He tightened his grip on the sword, his senses sharp. This is just the beginning, he muttered, stepping forward into the unknown. Chapter 4. The Hunter Emerges. The ancient forest of monsters was far more daunting than Liam had imagined. Every sound, crunching leaves, distant rustling, even the occasional cry of a bird, kept him on edge. The forest seemed alive, its dense canopy casting eerie shadows that danced with the faint light of the glowing fungi scattered across the undergrowth. His grip on the hilt of Solus, the legendary sword he'd miraculously obtained, was tight enough to make his knuckles ache. This place is like a death trap, Liam muttered, stepping cautiously over a cluster of tangled roots. His eyes darted to every shifting shadow, half expecting a monster to leap out at any moment. Observation: the ancient forest of monsters is classified as a level 1 survival zone. Hostile encounters are frequent. Remaining alert is advised. The soul-bound system's voice was calm as always, but its reminder did little to ease his nerves. Yeah, I got that, Liam said dryly. What I don't get is why a survival zone is the first place I wake up in. Response: the current location serves as a trial environment to prepare users for future challenges. Early adversity encourages faster growth. Liam sighed, shaking his head. Great. Trial by death.
Thanks, Ava.
The system didn't respond, but Liam couldn't help wondering if Ava had known exactly how much danger he'd face here. As much as he appreciated the blessings she'd given him, he wasn't entirely sure they were enough. He stopped for a moment, leaning against a tree to catch his breath. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and moss, and distant animal cries echoed through the forest. It was beautiful in a way, but also deeply unsettling.
Okay,
he muttered to himself, trying to steady his nerves.
Focus. The system said I need to level up, so that's what I'll do. One monster at a time.
Feral Forest Wolf, Level 2, Threat Level, Moderate. Abilities, Pack Instincts, Increased Coordination with other wolves. The wolf emerged from the brush, its fur bristling and teeth bared. It growled low in its throat, crouching as if ready to pounce. Liam's stomach turned. This wasn't like the slime he'd fought earlier. The wolf was fast, and its sharp teeth gleamed ominously in the dim light.
Okay,
he muttered, raising Solus defensively.
I can do this. It's just one wolf.
The wolf lunged, a blur of fur and teeth, and Liam barely sidestepped in time. He swung Solus instinctively, the blade slicing through the air and grazing the wolf's flank. It yelped, stumbling back, but quickly recovered. Enemy health, 70% remaining.
Come on,
Liam muttered, adjusting his stance. He remembered the system's earlier advice, to stay mobile. When the wolf lunged again, he dodged to the side, slashing downward. This time the blade struck true, cutting deep into the wolf's side. The creature collapsed with a whimper, its body dissolving into faint particles of light. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 100 XP. Level up. Current level 2. A wave of warmth washed over Liam as the system chimed. He felt a strange energy coursing through his body. His movements felt sharper, his senses keener.
So this is what leveling up feels like,
he said, flexing his fingers.
Not bad.
Leveling up increases base stats and strengthens overall performance. Continued engagement is recommended. Liam wiped the sweat from his brow, scanning the area for any signs of more wolves. When nothing moved, he let out a shaky breath and continued deeper into the forest. Hours passed as Liam wandered the forest, encountering more creatures. A pack of oversized insects had forced him into a frantic chase, their clicking mandibles too close for comfort. A lone wolf had lunged at him from behind, forcing him to rely on the system's quick instructions to dodge and counter. With each fight, he felt himself growing stronger, not just physically, but mentally. He was beginning to understand how to read his enemies, how to use his surroundings to his advantage. Skill acquired, combat instincts, beginner. The system chimed after a particularly grueling fight against a horned rabbit that had proven far more aggressive than it looked. Liam collapsed against a tree, laughing breathlessly.
Combat instincts, huh?
He said, shaking his head.
Could have used those a few fights ago.
Progress requires experience. Continued effort will yield additional skills and upgrades. He grinned despite himself. For the first time, he felt like he was making real progress. By the time the sun began to set, Liam had reached a rocky outcrop. The trees thinned here, and the ground was littered with jagged stones. A faint breeze carried with it a foul stench, like rotting meat. He wrinkled his nose, following the scent to a narrow cave opening hidden among the rocks.
What's that smell?
He muttered, peering into the darkness. Caution. The detected area contains multiple hostiles. Entering without preparation is not recommended.
Hostiles?
Liam's stomach twisted.
What kind of hostiles?
Analyzing. Threats include orc scouts and orc grunts. Orc scout, level 4. Threat level, moderate. Abilities, enhanced vision, ambush tactics. Orc grunt, level 5. Threat level high. Abilities, superior strength, basic combat skills.
Orcs? Are you kidding me?
Liam's grip on Solus tightened. The thought of fighting multiple orcs sent a chill down his spine. But something about the cave called to him.
What's in there?
he asked, his voice shaky. Potential rewards include weapon upgrades, materials, and rare loot. Rare loot. The words hung in his mind, sparking a flicker of determination. He'd survived this long, and he wasn't about to back down now. The cave's entrance loomed before him, dark and foreboding. He could hear faint, guttural voices echoing from within, accompanied by the clang of metal against stone. The stench of rot was almost overwhelming now, making him gag. "This might be the dumbest thing I've ever done," he muttered, his voice trembling. Recommendation: prepare thoroughly. Analyze enemy patterns. Use terrain to your advantage. Liam nodded, steeling himself. He couldn't back down now, not when the promise of progress and rewards was so close. With Solus in hand and the system's guidance in his mind, he took his first step into the Orc Cave, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 5: The Orc's Cave. The darkness of the cave swallowed Liam as he stepped inside. Solus gripped tightly in his hand. The air was thick and stifling, carrying the acrid stench of sweat, rot, and burnt meat. Faint echoes of guttural voices reverberated off the damp walls, setting his nerves on edge. Warning: multiple hostiles detected. Use stealth to avoid detection where possible. "Yeah, stealth," Liam muttered under his breath. "That's easy when I feel like every step is screaming, 'I'm here!'" The floor was uneven, covered in jagged rocks and bits of bone that crunched faintly beneath his boots. He pressed himself against the wall, moving as quietly as he could. Ahead, the faint orange glow of a torch illuminated a narrow corridor. Liam paused, taking a deep breath. "Okay, system, give me the breakdown. What am I dealing with here?" Analysis complete. 2 Orc Scouts in the immediate vicinity. Orc Scout. Level 4. Threat level: moderate. Abilities: enhanced vision, ambush tactics. 2 against 1. Not ideal, but not impossible. Liam tightened his grip on Solus, the runes on the blade pulsing faintly in the dim light. Tip: use terrain to your advantage. Orc Scouts are vulnerable to surprise attacks. He nodded, scanning the area. The narrow corridor opened into a larger chamber, the floor littered with broken weapons and discarded armor. 2 Orc Scouts stood near a crude wooden table, their green, muscular frames hunched as they growled at each other in guttural tones. Liam crouched behind a jagged rock, heart pounding. "All right," he whispered. "Let's see how this goes." Liam gripped Solus tightly, the sword humming faintly in his hand. He edged closer, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. When he was within striking distance, he sprang into action. The first orc barely had time to react as Liam drove Solus into its side. The blade cut deep, and the creature let out a guttural roar, stumbling backward. Enemy health: 50% remaining. The second orc turned, its red eyes narrowing as it snarled. It grabbed a crude axe from the table and swung it toward Liam with surprising speed. He ducked, the blade whistling past his head, and countered with a swift upward slash. Solus cut across the orc's chest, leaving a deep gash. Enemy health: 60% remaining. The first orc, still clutching its side, lunged at Liam with a dagger. He spun on his heel, deflecting the attack with Solus. The clash of metal echoed through the chamber as the orc pressed forward, its strength forcing Liam back. "Not today," Liam growled, driving his knee into the orc's gut. The creature doubled over and Liam seized the opportunity, slashing downward. The orc let out a final growl before collapsing, its body dissolving into faint particles of light. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 150 XP. The second orc roared in fury, swinging its axe with reckless abandon. Liam dodged the first strike but misjudged the second, the blunt edge of the weapon grazing his arm. Pain shot through him, but he gritted his teeth, refusing to give in. "Come on!" he shouted, slashing upward with Solus. The blade struck true, severing the orc's weapon arm. The creature howled, falling to its knees. Liam didn't hesitate, driving Solus through its chest,
Enemy defeated. Experience gained 200 XP. Level up. Current level 3. A wave of warmth surged through Liam as the system chimed. He felt stronger, more focused. His movements felt sharper, his reactions quicker. That was close, he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. He glanced at his arm, where a shallow cut bled sluggishly. Guess I'm not invincible. Tip: use downtime to recover and assess surroundings. Hostiles remain in the area. Liam nodded, searching the chamber for anything useful. Among the broken weapons and scraps of metal, he found a small health potion. The liquid glowed faintly as he uncorked it and drank, the pain in his arm fading almost instantly. The next section of the cave was eerily quiet. The only sound, a drip of water echoing from somewhere deep within. Liam moved cautiously, Solus at the ready. The system's warnings had been clear. This place was crawling with orcs, and he couldn't afford to let his guard down. As he turned a corner, the faint sound of heavy footsteps reached his ears. A hulking figure emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing red. Orc Grunt, level 5. Threat level, high. Abilities, superior strength, basic combat skills. Liam swallowed hard. The Orc Grunt was easily twice his size. Its bulging muscles rippled as it gripped a massive spiked club. Warning: Orc Grunt detected. Approach with caution. Use agility to evade heavy strikes. The orc let out a thunderous roar, charging at Liam with surprising speed. He barely had time to react, diving to the side as the club smashed into the ground, sending shards of rock flying. Okay, big guy, Liam muttered, his grip on Solus tightening. Let's dance. The orc swung again, and Liam ducked, slashing at its side. The blade bit into its flesh, but the creature barely flinched. Enemy health, 80% remaining. Seriously? Liam groaned, rolling to avoid another swing. He darted behind the orc, targeting its legs. Solus slashed through muscle and sinew, and the creature roared in pain, dropping to one knee. Enemy health, 50% remaining. The orc swung wildly, forcing Liam to backpedal. He waited for an opening, then lunged forward, driving Solus into the creature's chest. The orc let out a final roar before collapsing, his body dissolving into light. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 300 XP. Level up. Current level 4. Liam leaned against the wall, panting. His entire body ached, but the sense of accomplishment was undeniable. Caution: high-level hostile detected ahead. Prepare accordingly. The final chamber was vast, its walls lined with flickering torches. At the center stood the largest orc Liam had ever seen, its green skin marred with glowing red runes. The air around it crackled with heat, and in its hand a ball of flame hovered ominously. Orc Shaman, level 6. Threat level, very high. Abilities, Firebolt, Flame Aura. You've got to be kidding me, Liam muttered. The Orc Shaman roared, raising its hand. A bolt of fire shot toward Liam, and he barely managed to dive out of the way. The heat singed his arm, and he bit back a cry of pain. Tip: use surroundings for cover. Firebolt has a brief casting delay. Liam ducked behind a fallen pillar as another firebolt slammed into the ground, sending sparks flying. He peeked out, his mind racing. All right, he muttered. Wait for the delay, then strike. The shaman raised its hand again, chanting in a guttural language. As the firebolt formed, Liam sprinted forward, closing the distance. The shaman roared in surprise as Solus slashed across its arm, disrupting the spell. The shaman swung its staff, but Liam ducked, driving the blade into its side. Enemy health, 60% remaining. The shaman growled, flames erupting around him in a fiery aura. Liam staggered back, the heat searing his skin. Not good, not good, he muttered, retreating behind another pillar. The fire aura dissipated and the shaman began casting again. This time, Liam didn't wait. He darted forward immediately, dodging the fire bolt and leaping onto the orc, plunging Solus into its chest. The shaman let out a deafening roar as its body disintegrated, leaving behind a faintly glowing orb. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 500 XP. Level up. Current level 5. Skill acquired. Firebolt. Liam collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. The orb of fire hovered in front of him, and as he reached out, it merged with his hand. A faint warmth spread through him, and he knew the power was now his. Firebolt, huh? He muttered, a small grin forming. I could get used to this. With Solus in hand and a newfound confidence, Liam stood, ready to take on whatever came next. Chapter 6. Mastering Fire Magic. The ancient forest of monsters was alive with danger, but for Liam it had become a training ground. The warmth of his newly acquired firebolt ability lingered in his palm, like an ember waiting to ignite. With every step through the dense forest, he replayed the orc shaman's fiery attacks in his mind, imagining how he might wield the same power. All right, Liam muttered, gripping Solus tightly. Time to see what this magic can really do. Reminder, Firebolt ability is currently at level 1. Frequent use is required to increase proficiency and unlock new fire-based skills. The soul-bound system's calm voice echoed in his head, grounding him. He nodded, steeling himself. Got it. Let's find something to test it on. It wasn't long before Liam stumbled upon his first target, a cluster of slimes oozing around a shallow pond. Their translucent, quivering forms reflected the faint light of the glowing mushrooms nearby. Hostiles detected. Lesser slimes. Lesser slime. Level 1. Threat level low. Abilities. Acidic body. A grin spread across Liam's face. Perfect. Let's give this a shot. Raising his hand, he focused on the warmth in his palm. The magic responded, surging forward as a small orb of fire formed just above his fingertips. Firebolt! He shouted, hurling the flaming projectile at the nearest slime. The spell struck true, exploding on impact. The slime quivered violently before dissolving into faint particles of light. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 30 XP. That was awesome, Liam said, a wide grin spreading across his face. The remaining slimes reacted, their gelatinous bodies wobbling as they moved toward him. Liam didn't hesitate. Firebolt after firebolt shot from his hand, each one striking its target with precision. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 30 XP. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 30 XP. Level up. Current level 6. A faint rustling in the distance caught Liam's attention. He turned, his grip tightening on Solus, as a larger, darker slime emerged from the shadows. Its size dwarfed the others, and its core glowed faintly red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mega Slime. Level 4. Threat level moderate. Abilities. Acidic Wave. Core Burst. A Mega Slime? Of course, Liam muttered, taking a step back. Nothing can ever be simple, can it? The Mega Slime quivered. Its gelatinous body rippled as it released a wave of acidic liquid. The ground hissed where the substance landed, melting leaves and roots. Liam dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the attack. All right, big guy, he said, summoning a firebolt. Let's see how you like this! The spell flew through the air, striking the slime squarely in its body. Flames rippled across the surface, but the creature reformed almost immediately, its glowing core untouched. Enemy health, 80% remaining. So the core's the weak spot, Liam muttered, rolling to avoid another acidic attack. Guess I'll have to aim better. He unleashed another firebolt, this time targeting the faintly glowing core. The spell struck true, and the slime let out a deep, bubbling sound, its body shrinking slightly. Enemy health, 50% remaining. The Mega Slime retaliated, launching itself into the air. Liam barely managed to dodge, the ground shaking as the creature slammed into the dirt where he'd just been standing. Acid sprayed in all directions, and Liam felt the heat of it as a few drops landed on his boots. Not good, he muttered, circling the creature. With a deep breath, he focused his magic, summoning a more powerful firebolt. The orb of flame burned brighter and hotter in his hand before he hurled it with all his strength. The spell struck the core directly, and the mega slime quivered violently before collapsing into a puddle of goo. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 150 XP. Level up. Current level 6. As the creature dissolved, a faint golden light emerged from the remains, drawing Liam's attention. "What now?" he muttered, stepping closer. The light solidified into an object, a small, intricately embroidered pouch with faintly glowing runes on its surface. Congratulations! Due to luck skill activation, you have obtained Void Pouch. Void Pouch. Type: Magical item. Effect: Unlimited storage capacity. Items placed within the pouch remain weightless and easily retrievable. Liam picked up the pouch, turning it over in his hands. It felt impossibly light, almost as though it wasn't there at all. He pulled it open, half expecting it to be empty, but the inside seemed to stretch endlessly into a dark, starry void. "A bag with infinite storage?" he said, a grin spreading across his face. "Now this is what I call a reward. Use the Void Pouch to manage inventory efficiently. Items stored within will always be accessible." Liam slipped the pouch onto his belt, marveling at the practicality of it. "Finally, my luck's starting to pay off. All right, time to see what else this forest has for me." He moved deeper into the forest, keeping Solus ready and Firebolt primed in his hand. The system's earlier advice echoed in his mind. Frequent use is required to increase proficiency. "I guess it's time to grind," he muttered, scanning the area for movement. A faint rustling of leaves brought Liam to a halt. He crouched low, gripping Solus tightly. The sound grew louder, and moments later 2 goblins burst through the underbrush, their yellow eyes gleaming with malice. Goblin Warrior. Level 3. Threat level moderate. Abilities: Pack Tactics. "Oh, great," Liam muttered, raising his right hand. A firebolt formed instantly, its heat comforting in his palm. "Let's see how you like this." The firebolt shot forward, slamming into the first goblin's chest. The creature screeched, its crude dagger falling from its hand as it collapsed into a smoldering heap. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 50 XP. The second goblin snarled, charging at him with its club raised. Liam sidestepped the swing encountered with a precise slash from Solus, the blade cutting cleanly through the goblin's side. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 50 XP. "All right," Liam said, lowering Solus. 2 down. As the goblins dissolved into light, they left behind small pouches of coins and a few jagged shards that looked like crystals. Items obtained: 5 gold coins, minor mana crystal ×2. He knelt, picking up the loot, and instinctively opened the Void Pouch. The inside shimmered like a galaxy, and he dropped the items in, watching as they vanished into the endless void. "This thing is way too useful," he said with a grin. "I could get used to this." Further into the forest, Liam stumbled upon a larger clearing. A crude goblin camp sprawled out before him, complete with makeshift tents, a roaring fire, and a collection of stolen goods piled in the center. At least half a dozen goblins milled about, but one stood out. A goblin draped in a ragged cloak and clutching a staff topped with a glowing green crystal. Goblin Shaman. Level 5. Threat level high. Abilities: Minor healing. Poison Cloud. "Looks like I found the boss," Liam muttered. The goblins hadn't noticed him yet, giving him time to strategize. He raised his hand, summoning a firebolt, and targeted the nearest goblin. The spell struck true, reducing the creature to ashes and sending the camp into chaos. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 50 XP. The remaining goblins screeched, grabbing weapons and charging toward him. Liam fired off 2 more firebolts, taking down another pair before they could reach him. The shaman growled, raising its staff. A green mist began to spread across the clearing, choking the air. Warning: Poison Cloud detected. Prolonged exposure will reduce health. Liam darted to the side, avoiding the mist, and launched another firebolt at the shaman. The spell hit, disrupting the cloud and leaving the creature exposed. Seizing the moment, Liam charged forward, slashing with Solus.
The shaman raised its staff in defense, but the blade cut through it easily, and with one final strike, Liam brought the goblin down. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 200 XP. Item obtained. Ember Ring. Liam picked up the glowing ring from the remains of the shaman. Ember Ring increases the power and duration of fire-based spells. Do you wish to equip it? Absolutely, Liam said, slipping the ring onto his finger. A faint warmth spread through him, and he felt his connection to Firebolt strengthen. He quickly gathered the remaining loot, coins, weapons, and a small chest filled with gems, and stored them in the void pouch. Best invention ever, he said with a grin, patting the pouch. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest grew eerily quiet. Liam had barely taken a few steps from the goblin camp when a low growl stopped him in his tracks. A pack of wolves emerged from the shadows, their glowing eyes locked onto him. At their center was a massive alpha direwolf, its fur black as night and its fangs glinting in the dim light. Alpha direwolf, level 8, threat level very high. Abilities: Howl of Command, Flame Resistance. Why is it always the big ones? Liam muttered, summoning a firebolt. The wolves attacked as one, the smaller ones lunging first. Liam fired off 2 firebolts in quick succession, taking out the lead wolves before they could reach him. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 100 XP. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 100 XP. The alpha snarled, its glowing eyes narrowing as it circled him. Liam raised the Ember Ring, summoning a larger firebolt. The flames burned brighter, fueled by the power of the ring, and hurled it at the alpha. The spell struck, but the creature barely flinched, its flame-resistant fur absorbing most of the impact. Of course you're tougher, Liam said, dodging a lunge. He switched tactics, focusing on the smaller wolves first. With Solus in one hand and Firebolt in the other, he moved quickly, cutting through the pack until only the alpha remained. The alpha howled, its voice reverberating through the forest. It charged, its massive frame barreling toward him. Liam stood his ground, channeling his magic into the sword. Have a taste of this, he muttered, unleashing a massive burst of fire. The flames engulfed the alpha, burning away its resistance. With one final strike from Solus, the creature fell. Enemy defeated. Experience gained 500 XP. Level up. Current level 7. Skill acquired. Flame Wave. Liam collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. The forest was silent once more. The danger finally passed. As he opened the void pouch, he carefully stored the alpha's massive fang and the gold coins left behind. With the power of Flame Wave now coursing through him and his bag full of treasures, Liam smiled. All right, Forrest, he said, standing. What's next?
All right, guys, we are going to end it there. We're going to do an hour. I will be back on tomorrow night to finish up the last few chapters, editing the last few chapters of my new book. And that should be the end of that. Then I'll be able to publish that and everything. So it should really be good. Yeah. So we can continue the story tomorrow. I'll leave it here. We're on chapter 6, going on to chapter 7. Also, if you have the book or want to get it yourself, it's on Audible, Amazon, Kindle, wherever. Make sure y'all check it out. Give your boy a little 5-star rating, whatever. Or come back and, fuck with your boy here, listen to it for free. And just watch me